A very warm welcome to all the students. I am Aisha Mathur, Associate Professor at School of Architecture, Galgotias University. And today we will be having another lecture on the subject Energy Conscious Architecture, where we will be studying about GRIHA, which is a body which gives green ratings to a building or a piece of site or landscape so that it keeps in mind the energy conscious techniques. This we are studying under the module Amenable. So, as we all know that buildings which are designed today contribute to serious environmental problems because of excessive consumption of energy and other natural resources. The close connection between the energy used in buildings and environmental damage arises because energy intensive solution sought to construct a building and meet its demands for heating, cooling, ventilation, and lighting. And all these causes they sever the depletion of invaluable environmental resources. But these days, however, the building can be designed to meet occupants' need for thermal and visual comfort at a reduced level and reduced energy and resources consumption. So energy resource efficiency in new construction can be affected by adopting a integrated approach to building design. And some of the techniques you all would have heard of is by incorporating solar passive techniques in the building design to minimize the load on the conventional systems of heating, cooling, ventilation, and lighting. Then you can also adopt certain design energy, lighting and HVAC systems which are available today, and use energy systems for renewable energy systems such as solar and hydel power to meet a part of wind's load. Also, by using low energy materials and methods of construction, we can reduce the load on the conventional energy system. So let us now begin with the lecture and see what all points we can cover under GRIHA. So, like in our previous lectures on IGBC, the prerequisites are similar to those in this lecture also. One should have a knowledge of conventional and non-conventional energy resources. So we know how much energy we are wasting and using and how it is getting produced. Then you should have an awareness of role of energy in the built environment, and then the efficient use of energy in design process, so that we are able to justify that the amount of energy we are using in the building is at the right amount, and it is not just any abstract amount that we are using. Then you should have an understanding of the sustainable design practices. So sustainable design basically is a environmental friend. We use environmental friendly building materials, and the most desirable materials are those that are recycled or renewable, as well as those require the least energy to manufacture. This is one part of sustainable design practices. Then you should have a clarity on the concepts of climatology so that we can use natural ways of site planning and utilizing the natural resources such as wind and solar power, or the direct use of these things into our design. Then you should have information on the energy conservation. So energy conservation in building requires using energy saving building materials in the design and construction of buildings, and by improving building insulation and ceiling performances, and thus enhancing the efficiency of heating or cooling systems in reduced energy consumption. So all these things you should have certain idea of before we discuss further on the GRIHA's rating. As for the objectives, we will be covering the following points. First, we will discuss why do we need to go green or use sustainable practice in our architecture, because how it is important to us, to the environment, and for the future of the country or world as whole. I'll give you a short introduction of what GRIHA is, what it does, how did it come about. So all this will be covered under this objective. Then the third objective will be the context and the development, and what are the challenges that we are facing today, and then the benefits of green building. So we all have discussed in it in great detail also in the earlier semesters. We've always been talking about green building designs. So, but I'll be giving you some bullet points and what are the benefits of the green buildings. And then we will discuss in detail what is the rating system. So today I will just discuss about the rating system in brief, and in the upcoming lectures I'll give you the points which come under the rating system and how we go about them. So moving on to what is GRIHA actually. So GRIHA basically it is an acronym for Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. GRIHA, it is a Sanskrit word meaning abode. So GRIHA, if you would have all heard of, if you are aware, if your Hindi is good, you would know that GRIHA it is Grih or Ghar, which means abode. So it is basically, but they have used this as an acronym for this green rating of integrated habitat assessment. Human habitats interact with environment in various ways. So it is kind of a two functional word which they have used here. And as we all know that humans throughout their life, they do construction activities, and they operate, they do operations, various operations, building operations, and then demolition. And in this, all these processes, they end up consuming a lot of resources in the form of energy, water, materials, etc. And not only they are using the energy, but they are emitting a lot of waste, either directly in form of municipal waste, which are tangible, which you can see, but also indirectly as emissions from electricity generation. So this part, the emissions, they are producing a lot of air pollutions, and the other form of municipal waste, they end up going down the drains and ultimately end up in as dumping grounds, or they go up in our rivers, thus polluting the aquatic life as well. So what GRIHA here attempts to do is to minimize the building resource consumption, and they reduce the waste generation and an overall ecological impact within a certain and rationally acceptable limits or benchmarks. So they have basically put certain limits that how much waste you've generated is viable, or how much ecological impact you are allowed to make, or how much resources you are allowed to do while generating a building. So GRIHA is a rating tool that helps people access the performance of their building against a certain nationally acceptable benchmarks. It will evaluate the performance of a building holistically over its entire life cycle, thereby providing a definitive standard of what constitutes a green building. So it is not just until the when the building is getting constructed, it is for the entire life cycle, when one is using it or till until it gets demolished. So it is for the entire life cycle of a building. The rating system based on accepted energy and environmental principles will seek to strive a balance between the established practices and emerging concepts, both national and international. So they will give some kind of established practice, or they will compare it with the upcoming energy concepts which are available not only in our country India, but also at international levels. So the guidelines and criteria appraisal may be revised every 3 years to take into account the latest scientific development during this during this period. So it is not just a forum which has developed the guidelines that okay, these guidelines are to be fulfilled. They update their criteria every 3 years, so that we are updated with the outside technology as well as our own technology. And on the right side, you can see this image that it has different types of ratings. So first is the GRIHA rating, which has a built-up area which is greater than 2,500 square meters. Then you have SVA GRIHA for the built-up area which is less than equal to 2,500 square meters. And then for larger development, you have a category of greater than equal to 1.5 lakh square meters. So these are the kind of ratings which are available with GRIHA. So let us now go deeper into all these points which GRIHA has to tell. So what are the benefits of green buildings? Certain points are listed here. The first one is the reduced energy consumption without sacrificing the comfort levels of the users. Then there is reduced destruction of natural areas, habitats, and thereby it protects the biodiversity. And there is reduced soil loss from erosion. So this soil loss will basically help us having better agricultural practices and more fertile land for the same. Then the reduced air and water pollution. Of course, we all know the disadvantages of having poor water and air quality. It will affect our health. Then reduced water consumption, then limited waste generation due to recycling and reuse, reduced pollution loads, increased user productivity, and enhanced the image of and marketability of a place. So on the right side, you can see here there is a image that Griha basically looks at all these points for giving the ratings. The first one is the sustainable site, then you have water efficiency, then you have energy and atmosphere, then there is material and resources, indoor air environmental quality, and then you have innovation in operation and regional priority. So all these six points they are further detailed, and we will be looking into them in the upcoming lectures. So this is what Griha basically looks at. In this slide, I will throw some light on how the rating system basically works in GRIHA. So the GRIHA consists of 31 criteria. You all should remember this, that it has 31 criteria, which is recognized under the various sections such as site selection, site planning, conservation and efficient use of resources, building operation and maintenance, and innovation points. Basically, the 6 points which we discussed in the previous slides, they are further categorized into 31 criteria. So 8 out of these 31 criteria are mandatory, 4 are partially mandatory, while the rest are optional. So these 31 criteria, you have to fulfill the 8 criteria, that those are compulsory. Then 4 are partially compulsory and rest are optional. So the more criteria you fulfill, the more you will get the rating of a building. Each criteria has a number of points assigned to it, and different levels of certification starting from 1 to 5 stars are awarded based on the number of points which are earned. The minimum points required for certification is 50. So in this table on the right side, you will see here that when you have points for a building which are ranging between 50 and 60, you have single star rating. Then from 61 to 70, you have 2-star rating. Then you have 71 to 80, you have 3-star rating. 81 to 90, you have 4-star rating. Then from 91 to 100, that is the maximum rating, you will get 5 stars for it. Then what is the procedure? That all buildings except for industrial complexes and housing colonies which are in the design stage are eligible for certification under GRIHA. Buildings include offices, retail spaces, institutional buildings, hotels, hospital buildings, healthcare facilities, residential and multi-family high-rise buildings. So this is the procedure for certification. There is an total annexure which is based, which tells that how the certification is done. But this is just a short brief of the procedure. You can go through the entire document which I'll be sharing with you by the end of the lecture. So in the 2015 rating system, certain things have been changed, which have been mentioned, and the new sequence is segregated into specific sections, and the previous criteria have been modified. So there has been some changes on this table. If you will look on the left side, so you will see that under the site planning, you have site selection, which site basically you select for your project, the low impact design, the design to mitigate UHI, that is urban heat island effect, and the impervious factor of the site. How much water is getting penetrated into the site, and this will basically tell that how much less amount of drainage system you will have to design for the site. Then in under the second point, which is construction management, you have air and water pollution control, you have preserve and protect the landscaping construction, then you have construction management practices. So, and on the this side, you will see that the maximum points are provided for each side. You can go through this. Then in the energy part, so you have energy efficiency. So this is of main importance or prime importance. So it has 13 points, which is the highest under the table. And then you have renewable energy utilization, you have zero ODP materials. Then under the occupant and comfort well-being, you have achieving indoor comfort. Then you have maintaining good IAQ, sorry, indoor air quality. Then you have use of low VOC paints and other compounds in the building interiors. Then you have use of low flow fixtures and systems under the water category. Then you in the water category only, you have how much reduce usage of water in the landscape you are doing. Then you have water quality, are you managing the quality of the water in your site or your project. Then you have rainwater recharge or on-site water reuse, how you are planning the reuse of water. Then you have sustainable building materials, you have solid waste management, and how much waste, basically how you treat your organic waste on the site. Then you have certain socio-economic strategies as well, you can go through them. And you have performance monitoring and validation. Under this, you have the innovation. What new things are you trying to do, and how are you basically maintaining your buildings? So I request you all to just go through this table, very deeply, and we will discuss each of these points in details. All these 31 criteria we will discuss in the upcoming lectures. So in the 2015 format, even the rating thresholds have been changed. So if you will compare it with the chart which we talked about 2 slides previous to this one, you saw the rating range and the number of stars, corresponding stars given to it. So now the rating threshold, they have reduced it from 25 to 40, you will get 1 star. From 41 to 55, you will get 2 star. From 56 to 70, you will get 3-star rating. Then from 71 to 85, there will be 4 stars, and 86 or more will be 5 stars. So the threshold has been basically reduced in a way to encourage the projects getting the number of stars for the design. So earlier it used to start from 50 points. Now you can see they have lowered it down to 25 points in 2015 format. Then you even have revised point weightages. The points assigned to different criteria have been modified. So in the previous slide, when we discussed about the points earlier, they were different when GRIHA started, but now they have revised it. Then no points for mandatory appraisals. So in this version of GRIHA, no points will be awarded to any mandatory appraisal, and there is a non-linear point distribution. The concept of non-linear point has also been introduced. For example, observe the point distribution in the criteria on the water reduction. So there are different examples which we'll be taking on, and I'll explain it to you about what is the non-linear point distribution. Also, certain criterias have been restructured, and they have been made by regrouping appraisals of previous versions criteria without changing any technical requirements. So this is the list of the criterias which have been restructured. Criteria number 4, which is on site imperviousness factor; 16, which is on water quality, air and water pollution control; then criteria on on-site water reuse. Then certain changes have been made in the preservation and protection of landscape during the construction, rainwater recharge, construction management practices, use of low environmental impact buildings on the building interiors, renewable energy utilization, and avoided post-construction landfill, and achieving indoor comfort requirements. And what are the new additions in the criteria? In the criteria 12, new things have been added under the maintenance of good indoor air quality, then increase in environmental awareness, and dedicated facilities for service staff, and then smart metering and monitoring. So these are the new things which have come up in the rating system. So here it's a small image which shows that why indoor air quality matters, because they have introduced it in the new thing also. So because people spend most of their time, almost 80%, inside a building, and indoor air quality is almost 2 to 5 times worse than outdoor air quality. And indoor air pollution is ranked as one of the EPA's top 5 environmental risks to public health, and 50% of the illnesses caused are by aggravated indoor air pollution. So we do not really realize that how much this bad quality indoor air is affecting our health. So since we are focusing on GRIHA today, what you can do is that you can choose a project and perform a case study on any project which has been rated by GRIHA. It can be any project which has a single star rating to even the 5-star rating. So just search on the internet or go to any library, and you will find many projects. And then you can list down what are the criterias which they have fulfilled and how they have fulfilled it. So it will be a very interesting way to probably use in your architectural design also, on how to design sustainable buildings. And you can submit it in a form of presentation. So I hope you enjoyed today's lecture, and we will be continuing with the criterias in the upcoming lectures, and we will go in full detail about what GRIHA offers. Thank you so much.